Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart and Justin GeneralsJoes Bell. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. Full Force Weekly. I sped it up a bit there, just to circumvent the fact that Phoebe's going to be barking throughout this entire episode. Buddy, right, let's get stuck into the news. I'm not even going to ask how you're doing, Pat. Let's just get straight on in there.
There's a lot to cover.
There's a lot to cover. In Micro Machines news, seeing as I've been championing this line since it was released last year, and due to the G.I. Joe homages in the Protection Force sets, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about the fact that Series 4 is following closely on the heels of Series 3 with a new line of licensed vehicles. The new sets include an Adventure 3-pack of repainted Protection Force vehicles and a cargo truck, a Bugatti Heritage 3-pack, and 5 packs of Micro Drag Race Classics and GM icons. These new sets were teased on the Micro Machines social pages, will be showing up over the next few weeks at Targets and Walmart, and we can still expect a few more reveals to come for this new series. It's surprising that we're getting this so soon after Series 3, which I still haven't found at retail, but no complaints from me, the more the merrier. Are you surprised to see these hitting so soon, Pat?
Not really. Some of these things lately seem to be a little bit weird. The timing of things is strange. I'm not sure if this is a sign that things are finally catching up, or if I just can expect a lot of things to stay delayed after the craziness of 2020.
What happened?
Yeah.
It feels like a bottleneck to me. It feels like there's all this, we've hit this point where, and I think with Micro Machines, there's more of a, I wouldn't say it's easier to produce them, but they're a lot less involved than, say, more kind of like complex action figures, aren't they? So maybe we're getting like almost like this bottleneck has burst, and all of a sudden we're getting all of these coming in at once. Yeah,
that's possible. It definitely seemed like some of the waves were changed up a bit for Micro Machines.
Yes.
It kind of doesn't surprise me that we're seeing waves close together. That tended to happen sometimes in previous years anyway. So I don't know if that's just a symptom of it almost being summer, and so maybe they're trying to get some toys out as quickly as they can before kids are outside playing rather than toys.
Yeah, totally.
That could just be what it is as well.
Are there any in that Series 4 lineup that kind of, really strike you and kind of like make you think, oh yeah, I definitely need to get those?
Well, really, I'm mostly just interested in the ones that kind of look like a G.I. Joe homage.
Yeah.
And, I'm on the lookout for anything for you as well if I happen to see I haven't really seen any rares other than the bus, which is super common.
Yeah, I think I've got about 3 of those.
I was in Walmart and noticed a couple of them, so I just started looking at how many they had, and I think the one Walmart had 7 of them.
Blimey.
Yeah, so that bus just doesn't seem to be actually rare.
Yeah, they probably didn't spread it out well enough, in my opinion, did they? I feel like there's been a few cases where loads of stores have just had chase options and loads of other stores have had nothing. I feel like there's probably an issue there in distribution, which, let's face it, it's been an issue all year long. I think for me, I love the Micro Jungle Adventure. I think that looks amazing, where you've got like the helicopter from the Protection Force, the buggy, which was in the Series 3 Deco Protection Force, kind of in yellow and black, and then you've got like this cargo truck with what looks like 3 scratches in the side of it, as if like a dinosaur has attacked it, or an animal or something.
It's leftover stuff from Jurassic Park 3, or
yes, exactly. So I do like those, and I've also noticed that obviously in Series 3 we were introduced to the treasure, the kind of ruby red treasure chase vehicles, and now it looks like we're going to be getting all 3 of those options in Series 4, rare, ultra rare, and treasure. So that's quite interesting. And I think that for me, like, that's the set that I've got my eye on. I love some of the licensed stuff. It's beautiful, and we're going to be getting more Series 4 stuff as well, coming up. So I'm just excited to see more of this stuff.
Yeah, it's cool if they're doing some licensed stuff too, trickling that in there. I don't think that I would expect to see the line move towards solid licensed vehicles, but having them in there to supplement like the main stuff is a good thing.
Absolutely. Anyway, that's Micro Machines Series 4. Series 3 has only just kind of started hitting store shelves, and I haven't seen any of it yet. I haven't even seen people posting it yet. The only thing I have noticed or seen and managed to pick up is the Easter sets, which look they're just adorable. The decos are incredible. Really, really nice stuff. And anyway, well, that's Micro Machines. Pat, let's move on. And let's get stuck into some statue news. The new Destro Statue from Diamond Select Toys went up for pre-order this week on Entertainment Earth, link in the description of course. As we have previously stated on bursts and weeklies, he will be 10 inches in height, cost $49.99 and comes situated on a diorama stand of an underground river, clutching his briefcase whilst firing his wrist rockets. He will ship in August of this year, and as well as that, the next wave of PCS statues went up for pre-order on GameStop, including the Baroness, Serpentor and yet another Destro, for $59.99 each. Links in the description. Shipping should commence in September of this year. Pat, will you be jumping on either of these lines? Is any of this grabbing you?
I don't really do statues, but honestly, this Diamond Select Toys Destro is very tempting because it looks really good. I actually like the effect that they've added for the rocket coming off of his wrist.
Yeah. The
actual shape of the flame or trail that's being left behind by the rocket really does kind of conjure up the image of exactly how the rocket left his arm.
Yeah.
And I think that's really well done. And the water effects are also very good. It looks like somebody's shooting at him. Big
time. Yeah, that's something we haven't really discussed actually yet. And those kind of bullet kind of splashes in front of him, those ricochet splashes are really cool. I think it looks really dope. I think when you're doing statues, they have to be dynamic, don't they? The standing ones can be okay to a certain degree, but even the PCS ones, they've had to do certain poses and have them holding, weapons and stuff like that. So I think I'm definitely more in the dynamism and the diorama kind of backgrounds and stuff. I think if you're gonna do a statue, go all the way with it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's easy to get the static pose out of an action figure, super easy. But I mean, obviously G.I. Joe is also known for being super posable, but I think that whenever you have a statue, you can get things in there like the water effects and the really cool effect of that rocket. But they've done a really good job making an argument for why they needed to have a statue. So it's really nice.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these, actually. I can't wait to see who they... I mean, we're probably going to get your classics. We're probably going to get your Snake Eyes, your Storm Shadow, your Baroness, your Cobra Commander, no doubt. But as PCS has shown, they've slipped in a little Serpentor there in Wave 2. So we could be getting some kind of cool, interesting characters showing up, possibly. What do you think?
Yeah, Serpentor isn't the first character that gets made, but he seems to be a secondary or tertiary character for G.I. Joe. I don't think that we can count on Ice Cream Soldier anytime soon.
Downtown Lightfoot and Ice Cream Soldier are probably further back, but anyway, yeah, that's a shame. But I do Ice Cream Soldier, man. I would actually love to see a really cool Dio display, especially with him utilizing his flamethrower.
Yeah. Why not? Sure. Maybe he takes his helmet off finally.
It's got to happen. Anyway, that's it for the statues this week. All pre-orders and all links in the description if you want to check those out. Next up, then we have comic news. DC Comics released their May solicits, and included in there, all tucked away like a bat in a cave, was issue number 3 of the Batman Fortnite 0 Point comic, which will feature our very own Ninja Commando, Snake Eyes. The description explained that there will indeed be fighting between Batman and Snake Eyes in this rift-tearing battle on the island style comic. Written by Christos Gage with concept and story consultation from CCO of Epic Donald Mustard, who also drew the premium variant covers. This miniseries features art by Riley Brown, Christian Duce, Nelson DeCastro and John Calise. Issue 3 will be out on the 18th of May, and I'm sure there will be a lot of interest in this one, seeing as two of our favourite characters growing up will be going at it head to head. In addition to this, a variant cover by Jim Lee was revealed earlier, which pits the two against each other in furious combat. Who is your money on, Pat? Batman or Snake Eyes?
Come on. The answer's Snake Eyes. But
none of that prep time argument.
No, come on. This topic has come up before on message boards. If you're on a G.I. Joe message board and this topic comes up, the correct answer is Snake Eyes. If you're on a message board, I'll accept Batman there. But if you're on a G.I. Joe message board, the answer is Snake Eyes. Or Facebook group. Whatever it is, if it's G.I. Joe themed, you need to answer Snake Eyes. That's the answer. Even though we all know that the real answer is there will be some kind of scuffle between the two of them, and then they'll realize that they need to team up. That's
exactly. They'll realize they're really in love with each other, and everything.
They'll commiserate a bit about family and maybe compare notes on ninja clans, and then they'll fight somebody.
Snake Eyes will speak for the first time and say Martha just as he was about to crush his head. Amazing. Yeah, no, I've got to admit, I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out. I wasn't planning on getting the Fortnite Batman series 0 point until this solicitation popped out. And I think actually all of the solicitations for this comic dropped at the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong on that. But I wasn't aware of it, I must say, until I saw this Snake Eyes cover. And I was like, what? But it kind of makes sense because obviously it's in the Fortnite universe. Snake Eyes has just joined the Fortnite universe, so it kind of makes sense that they're doing this, and also it's a great opportunity to see the two going at each other, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. It's one of those things where people want to know who would win in a fight, but you don't really want to see your heroes fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
My dad can take your dad. That kind
right.
You certainly don't want to see that happening. But yeah, I must admit I'm looking forward to this. What about that Jim Lee cover? Did you like that as a cover?
Well, I did note that Batman looks pretty thoroughly trashed.
Yeah.
Snake Eyes is unscathed, so
I'm going to have to agree with you on this one, Pat. I think out in the battle between the two, I would say I would give Snake Eyes the edge. Batman's gonna, they're very similar in, I suppose, their upbringing. They're both involved in like a ninja clan kind of scenario. They've both trained as I suppose Gaijin. They've both trained as Gaijin in like a different scenario, so they're outsiders in that particular martial art or that kind of style. They both have tragic past, so they feed off the pain. There's a lot of similarities. They both wear black. They both wear masks. Obviously one has a hidden, I guess, one's hidden in that sense. The other one's just classified. So there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah, well, maybe Batman, he occasionally wears blue and gray, so we'll see if he convinces Snake Eyes to start wearing blue and gray instead of black.
Can you just imagine in fact, a variant cover with Snake Eyes in his Sunbow outfit and Batman in his 66 would be wicked. I'd love to see that.
That would actually be kind of cool.
I really want to see that. Adam West versus Sunbow Snake Eyes.
And Sunbow Snake Eyes would have like his no gloves on, which is always a little weird. Batman can have his original like purple gloves on, and everybody can just be focused on the hands on the cover of that.
Amazing. Anyway, we'll be covering this comic, I guess, we will in the comics bursts. Brian and I will probably jump on those in the future. We're such a backlog at the moment. I'm just editing Dead Game 2 and 3 and 278, so it's going to take a while to get to all of these, but I'm trying, guys. It's just we like to go in depth on the comics bursts, and we don't want to spoil them immediately as well. So that's another thing. We tend to give it a few weeks before we start doing these as well. So anyway, we'll have the comics burst for you as soon as we can, and obviously more info on any of this stuff related to the Fortnite series as it comes. So next up, in Loot Crate news. So Loot Crate have revealed a Scarlet collectible figure in their upcoming April Honor Crate. The figure, or statue, takes visual design cues from her classic A Real American Hero model with an exaggerated oversized head, big-eyed baby look in the face. She stands on a small base adorned with the G.I. Joe logo as she clutches her famous crossbow. The figure will come packaged in a standard black box with all the usual classic design signposts like an explosion, classic logos and a silhouette of the figure on the front. The figure is very cutesy and, as I said before, will be made available via their April Honor Crate for $24.99. Pat, terrified or intrigued?
Well, I'm wondering if this is going to be a small subset of figures if this goes over well. Are they testing it? I'm not sure. It's interesting to me the way that Loot Crate kind of is operating. We have no way of knowing if this is going to be the first in like a subset of figures, or if they may change things up every single time they do something G.I. Joe. I'm really curious to see where it goes going forward. I don't know that they do a lot of series of things. It's not like I really have paid attention too much to what's going on with Loot Crate. I mean, I've seen that a little bit with some of the... I know that they did some Suicide Squad figures, but those were like known in advance, I think, that was going to be a series.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that this is probably a one-off, which I would love to know who the artist was that did these and to know a little bit more about it, other than, here is Scarlet and here she is. It's very mysterious. It will remain very mysterious.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Like the feeling of like, if this was like a sub-series, you could kind of, you kind of understand that in like, if it was like Loyal Subjects doing it, you could kind of understand, like there's a series here. But because it's Loot Crate, you got that thing of like, are they going to do this again? Or is this like a one-off? It feels very much like a one-off to me, but I could, by the same token, I could see them maybe releasing a Baroness in this style, or, like CoverGirl or Lady J or something like that. I could see that happening.
Yeah, and I was kind of even wondering if there were other properties that were done, maybe by the same artist or in a similar style. I can't really find anything like that either.
Yeah, neither. Yeah, so until we get a bit more information about this, we'll probably have to just speculate on this one. But is this something you're interested in? I mean, would this get you to buy a Loot Crate?
I hate to say no, but the answer is kind of no. There's just a lot of things competing for my dollars lately. G.I. Joe is always a priority of mine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having just one or two of something, this is great for character collectors, for people who specifically are looking for Scarlet. It's a wonderful way of putting something on the shelf that is entirely different than other things that have been offered. So I think that it's a good thing. I welcome it into G.I. Joe, but I'm not necessarily going to jump at it myself. I realize that for all the stuff that I already own and all the things that I'm still trying to get that I missed in the past from G.I. Joe and Transformers, I kind of just have to pick and choose a little bit more going forward.
Yeah, I know what you feel. I know the feeling. And especially at the moment, it seems like the merchandise train is just literally tearing on, isn't it, with G.I. Joe? Again, I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see all this new stuff cropping up, and it gives us stuff to talk about too. But there are moments when I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm probably not going to grab that. That's probably not for me. That's probably not for me. But I have ended up picking up. Actually, I'll talk about it in the shoutouts. But I've ended up picking up some stuff that I don't usually get, and now I'm thinking I'm going to have to go back and get other stuff. Anyway, enough of our problems. Let's move on and discuss in Super 7 news. Super 7 posted a teaser image in the week showing a close-up rear shot of their next officially licensed G.I. Joe product, and followed that by dropping pre-orders on their website a few days later. The clear version of their Super Cyborg Battle Android Trooper is pretty standard fare for Super 7, who have produced clear variants in the Super Cyborg line with Transformers and Power Rangers in the past. The figure dropped on Friday morning, today, or yesterday if you're watching it on Saturday, which you are, for $75, and will come with the same accessories, only clear this time, and a painted internal system, much like the other figures have had to date so far. Pat, did you get the first version of this figure, and did you jump on board for this one?
Again, this is something that I've decided to just kind of skip. I realize over time of buying so much stuff, I realized that it's not up to me to support the brand every single time something comes out. I be able to do that, but space becomes an issue as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't frown upon things being released that aren't specifically for me.
Yeah.
I think that this is a good thing because it kind of finishes out what Super 7 is going for with this line to look like a classic Japanese action figure robotic toy line. It makes sense then that they chose Bat for this. And clear figures is something that's a cool subset. And the fact that they're doing this with each one of their releases means that somebody going after these is going to have a really cool set of clear figures at some point to set up in one display. And I would love to see somebody do that and see a picture of it.
Yeah, totally. I'm the same with you on this one. Like, it's one of those ones I've passed on, but I still think it looks kind of cool. And it's really just like in terms of like space, practicality. Again, yeah, you're talking about, you're kind of having to prioritize where your money's going to. It's not like a similar kind of time that it was like a couple of years ago where it would just be like, yeah, trawl it in, happy, bring it in. And also there was a period of time with Joe when there was just nothing out. There was nothing coming out. There was a few merchandise bits and pieces here and there, but since Classified came out, the Snake Eyes movie's been on the kind of filmed and kind of in the background ready to go. It feels as though the merchandise train has just, I've mentioned the merchandise train before, but it seems as though it's just been absolutely non-stop, and all of these are coming out of the woodwork. There are going to be more. There are going to be far more to come. We haven't even we've discussed it, but we haven't really gone into detail about the Trick or Treat Halloween kind of company, not Halloween, but the Trick or Treat company studios, who have got G.I. Joe stuff on the way. So, and that's going to be things like, merchandise and masks and all sorts of other things. So there's just so much stuff. How many statue companies, not just do we have, but are coming out? It's quite insane. So this, as much as I love the fact that Super 7 are doing this, I can kind of see them. I could see Super 7 doing even more with the Joe brand in the future. And again, with the film coming up, maybe there is something on the horizon. But in terms of what's happening right now, like the Bat, I think it looks really cool. And this clear version is really, really wicked, and it's going to go really nice again with people that are collecting this stuff. Going to go really nice with that Optimus Prime, with that Megatron, with that Power Zord, all of those kind of different clear versions of those characters. Soundwave as well, I think they did as well. So yeah, that's I'm kind of happy this is happening and glad that G.I. Joe's involved.
Yeah, for sure. And the way that they chose to actually paint more than just the chest as some of the internal is really nice.
I know, and the fact that we can get in there and touch and feel and wicked sculpted detail. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that is the Bat from Super 7. And moving on, and in Pulse news, Hasbro Pulse have finally launched their website service in the United Kingdom. The site launched on Wednesday, 10th of March at 6 PM UK time, and immediately surprised us all by serving up the Cobra Island Target exclusive Viper and Firefly figures. Of course, Viper sold out very quickly, but it does show that a lot of the hard-to-find items will be made available via Pulse for the UK market, with plans to roll out to other European markets in the future. This is very good for the UK and hopefully Europe soon as well. Pat, what did you make of the news?
It's all very positive. Hasbro sent what I thought was a really funny email saying, hey mate, check this out.
We're really chuffed about the news, yeah.
Right. It was a good message. But my biggest takeaway from this is that the fans, not only have the fans in the UK kind of been left out on a lot of things and had a little bit of trouble getting some items just for the cost of shipping, but as far as making a production run of things, you want those economies of scale of having a larger market to sell to.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's now going to be this outlet where G.I. Joe can be sold to this other market in a very quick way means that it's going to be a little bit easier to continue it on as a toy line, and that's going to be a good thing.
Absolutely. And also the fact that they're talking about doing this, they're expanding this model, not just to, I think they said other aspects globally as well. So not just the European markets. That was mentioned specifically, but they've got to be looking at like other parts of the globe as well, haven't they? So I mean, that's got to be promising, especially if obviously Pulse has been successful for them in the US, clearly, and that's why they're doing it with the UK. They've seen a market there. Clearly, there's a market all over the place, and they're going to be running this out. So how important is that for the rest of the world to be able to get these products?
Yeah, I kind of wonder if there will be a version of this in China, because Hasbro does have their own Taobao website where they will sell things directly. There was even an exclusive Transformer that they sold through there. So I would be curious to see if they would expand, that globally and have Pulse kind of everywhere. It would be nice to be able to have, like I said, those economies of scale where, things get cheaper as you produce more of them.
Yeah.
So with a wider market of people buying things, it's going to make it easier for Hasbro to produce items and for us to get them.
Absolutely. I'm really excited actually for the UK for this particular venture. I'll also have to add, big, really close with like In Demand Toys, Nick and Mass In Demand Toys, and Andy at Kapow, Andy and the team at Kapow. And the fact that, obviously those guys have been official sellers of Hasbro product for the last couple of years, however long it's been. And because of that, I don't know how it's going to affect them generally. I think the market's big enough for everyone in that sense, because it has been in the US. Do you know what I mean? Like and that market's huge.
Yeah, I think that the business model that Pulse is carrying forward with. I mean, we've heard the complaints of people saying, hey, I pre-ordered this on Pulse and now Target's getting it first and Walmart's getting it first. Well, of course, that's I think that's exactly what the deal is with Pulse.
Yeah.
As a collector, I can pre-order my item with Pulse and just rest assured that I'm getting one, not with the assumption that I'm getting mine before everyone else, because they do need to take care of those stakeholders of the stores and retailers, the big bad toy store and even the smaller American sellers that have online web stores. They need to take care of them and make sure that they're not cutting them out of the picture. But at the same time, we don't need to worry once we've got that Pulse order in, we don't need to worry that we're going to miss out because craziness with Target or Walmart's crazy shipping or things like that are going on. So it's nice to have this as a way of a backup. We can rest assured we're getting it. But at the same time, I don't think that those, and I hope that those UK retailers aren't going to have to worry about anything. I think they'll be taken care of. I
agree. I think it'll go out initially, and then Hasbro Pulse will get it later. 100%.
I'm very
You're super positive today. It's amazing. This is great. So, okay, well, again, fantastic news that Pulse is in the UK now, and long may it stretch out even further. Finally, then, Pat, and we'll get to the last bit of news here, and that's in gaming news. World of Tanks, a team-based multiplayer online action game dedicated to armoured warfare in the middle of the 20th century, has introduced a G.I. Joe theme. As of yesterday, you'll be able to use 2 new commanders, Duke and Cobra Commander, 3D styles, and a bundle of inscription decals and emblems courtesy of the game's last micro-patch. The 2 main tanks in play currently are the BTT, or TS5 G.I. Joe Breakthrough Tank, and the BOA, or T-54 Cobra Battle Operation Assault Tank. The homages are clear here, with an almost direct connection to the Mobat and the Crimson Attack Tank, and they look really cool from all the in-game images that were posted in the article. Each commander has their own voiceovers, which can be heard briefly in the trailer for the event, and I noticed a lot of cool homages in the footage, like Trouble Bubble Mines, Duke's accessories, and a figure stand. The event will run until March 26th, so get involved if you haven't already. Pat, what did you think when these were revealed a few days ago?
Well, I think that they got really creative with these. These don't particularly match exactly any existing G.I. Joe tanks, but the homages that they built in, I would imagine there's probably some game mechanics that they also needed to to adhere to, and they probably were reskinning some of their existing tanks. But those little details that they put in really sell it as something that could exist within G.I. Joe. This makes me think of something that I would have seen on Joe Customs years ago, or even more recently, that somebody, put together some existing G.I. Joe parts on another tank and made it look like it exists within that universe.
Yeah.
Because the Cobra Boa looks a lot like the Crimson Attack tank, the Cat. And you can see some of the details on it, like the top turret now looks like a miniature version of the Hiss turret. And then the side guns, actually, I don't know if they're not exactly the same. They do kind of remind me of the Cobra Stun.
I was going to say the Ram? Not the Ram. The they kind of have that, like the Gatling gun kind of ones, right?
They do, yeah, of the Ram, but it's like the double cannons, and they're red, and they're on each side of it. And that's what reminds me of the Stun. I don't think that the exact
you're right
of it is the same, but
yeah, you're right. It's definitely the HISSTANK turret on the top with the twin guns. You've definitely got what looks to be those kind of double kind of machine gun turrets on the side that are very reminiscent of the Stun, absolutely. But then there's also those little missile launchers, which are very much like, was it the Mobile Command Center missile launchers?
Yeah, it was. And there's also, if you look at the way that they did the logos and stuff on there, you can kind of see the outline of a sticker, which is pretty cool. And I noticed at the back of the turret, it's actually specifically from the sticker sheet of the HISSTANK.
Oh, and so the trouble bubble mines are wicked as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And they even have like the repair or arming compartment or whatever it is on the side of those.
Amazing.
So I figured out what those are. They're just mines that go into the air, I guess.
Yeah, I just always assumed they floated. Yeah, like they were like on the they were there to, like, leave in the way of like G.I. Joe jets or other aircraft and helicopters and stuff. That was always my interpretation of that. I'm sure that it's written down somewhere exactly what they are and what they do and so on and so forth.
I'm sure it is, but on the box of the flight pod, they are there kind of blasting off. So it was always a really interesting one to me. But
totally. Cool. Let's talk about the G.I. Joe, like the kind of Mobat homage as well, because there's a lot of really cool stuff on that. Obviously, you've got things like, well, what I will mention is there's been a real attempt to make the skin look plastic, almost as if you've got like molded elements on there. Have you noticed that? Like there's on the side there's that kind of, it's like the chain or like the rope, the tow rope, and it looks like it's molded into the plastic as opposed to a more realistic look. And I really like those kind of aspects.
Yeah, and I think that the barrel, you can kind of see a parting line where it would be made in a two-part mold.
Amazing.
So definitely gone some lengths to update the look of it to look a little bit like a toy. And like I said, the outline you could see of a sticker sheet.
It's got like, well, again, this probably isn't the case, but the entrance to the tank, the hatch looks very much like the Warthog hatch. I know it probably isn't, but it just reminds me of that. And then you've got the kind of gun just outside that hatch, like locked in, like that's, Roadblock's Mardus effectively, isn't it, on a stand. And then you've got all those really cute little additions. Like, again, there's a lot of molded details in there. There's the kind of wrapped, almost like tent or sleeping bag or just blanket of some description. And then you've got like the gas canister from, I want to say, the Vamp.
Vamp, yeah. It looks a little bit different than the one from the Vamp, but yeah, it's definitely. I think that's what it's evoking for sure.
There's also the battle stand, which is really adorable. And then what looks like Duke's accessories, but you noticed something about his binoculars, didn't you?
Well, yeah, it looked to me like maybe it was Sneak Peek's binoculars more than it was Duke's. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. Again, it's nice that it's not just direct references and we're getting all these other things, but then also there's the molded detail of the shovel as well in there. It's really, really cool. I'm loving what they've done with these skins.
Yeah, and then there's the tow cable on the side as well that was on several G.I. Joe vehicles. I think it would have been funny if they would have made it be broken there on the side, because that's how all of them are now.
Yeah, and like I said before, I love how it's like molded in as opposed to as looking real. Some great stuff on there, and I'm sure there's more stuff that we haven't picked up on. Possibly another backpack molded on there somewhere. But again, like if you spot anything, obviously, feel free to comment in the on the video.
Actually, somebody commented on your video on YouTube, and mentioned that Sergeant Slaughter has already had his own tank.
Oh, nice.
That's available as well.
Fantastic. Cool. If I can find an image of that, I'll flash that up as we talk about it. Anyway, Pat, that is World of Tanks. Now, I mean, there was some other aspects. Like the trailer's pretty impressive. Really enjoyed that. And obviously we get to hear Duke and Cobra Commander's voices very briefly. We hear obviously Yo Joe and Shout Cobra as well. So we hear their voices. And actually not too bad. I was expecting... I don't know what I was expecting, but they sound very what you'd expect, don't they?
Yeah, they seem to be doing a good job with it. So I'm happy to see G.I. Joe getting out there in yet another video game now. And World of Tanks is one that a lot of people have been playing for several years. This is not like a game that will just be gone and forgotten. People have been playing this one for quite some time. It's a popular game.
What did you think of the designs of the characters as well? Like, obviously, they're their own. This kind of like original art of Duke and Cobra Commander. Duke looks kind of a little bit older, a little bit more grizzled, a bit more like General Hawk, in my opinion, facially, in that sense.
Yeah, in a way. I was actually even just surprised that they went to the extent of making new art for this. I would have just expected them to have used 1980s package art or something else that came from Hasbro, but it looks like they've actually commissioned some brand new paintings.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd like to see if there are any more kind of cut scenes in the game. I'd have to actually play World of Tanks. This is another thing now. It's going to drag me into another time-sucking black hole. But anyway, it's all exciting stuff, and I'm really happy that again Joe is just literally attaching itself to everything again. It feels like it's getting to that point where it's becoming the household name again, that it's on everybody's kind of consciousness a little bit.
I would think the World of Tanks would be a different group of people playing video games than Fortnite, but the fact that it's getting out there as much as it can, that's where the eyes of kids are going to be. We as collectors, we talk so much. We do that armchair brand manager thing where we talk about what does Hasbro need to do to get G.I. Joe popular again? And this is definitely what they need to do. Get out there where kids are already spending their time. And that's in video games. And producing these alternate skins and downloadable characters, it's a good thing.
Absolutely agree. And that brings us to the end of the news now. So obviously, you can keep up with all of the news bursts during the week when I post them, and obviously you can follow along with any like immediate things that happen up to the second, usually lols, on our Facebook and Twitter pages. And of course I do post stuff on the YouTube community page as well, so I try to keep everything as up to date as possible. In any case, let's move on then, shall we, Pat, into shoutouts. Psych, it wasn't the end of the news. That was a lie. Instead, we've got about 700 other stories to talk about that have just dropped while we were recording. Thank you, Hasbro and everyone else involved. Now, what has developed in the last few minutes is that 80s Tees just dropped an amazing clanger of a reveal of a Major Blood Classified t-shirt with the new Major Blood Classified design on it. Now, obviously, there's a few elements here that I've just gone and assumed, but mainly because 80s Tees does state that it is the Classified Major Blood t-shirt. Now, I have asked for confirmation. Some of those responses haven't been exactly forthcoming, so we're not sure as to whether it is a mistake on behalf of 80s Tees to drop it too early, or if this is actually a planned reveal. In any case, by the time we finish this, we'll probably have a Major Blood figure that we've missed out on reporting on. In any case, I'm not doing a news burst about it. We're going to stick it in this, and here we go. Joining us is Justin Bell, GeneralsJoes Reborn fame, of course. Let's get stuck in with this blood design. Justin, what are your thoughts, mate, out of nowhere?
Oh man, well, it's a pleasant surprise, and I think it looks pretty amazing. You know, I think we got a pretty decent idea of what he might look like based on the tiny grainy image on the back of a updated classified packaging we saw at one point. But seeing it close up and with detail, it just he looks fantastic. I mean, they're clearly going with the whole cyborg arm methodology. It really doesn't look like armor on his right arm. It looks like it is sort of an artificial right arm. He's got some definite cues from looks like actually the Sideshow Collectibles version. The chest armor has kind of those slits in it that's very similar. The bunches of dog tags. The original 84 figure had too, or 83 figure. But it looks amazing. It looks like Major Blood should look, but updated for a very modern sort of future tech kind of classified aesthetic. He's got, instead of a patch, he's got a little cybernetic thing on his eye. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Battle Core version. I mean, they've got a bunch of different elements sort of all tied into one. And I really think, like Classified has been doing all along, they've taken the best parts of the vintage and they've really kind of ramped them up and made them more modern and done something very cool and new. And I love what I'm seeing already.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, and also the fact you did mention it. Yeah, the fact they did actually drop that art on the back of the package not too long ago. So that is a very good point. We have actually seen the design, but this is the first real clear glimpse of all of these little details. Something else I noticed on his arm, it's got the Mars logo, or the refined Mars logo. So a joke coming up, guys, a very dad joke coming up, and that's Destro is supplying arms to Major Blood.
I'm hanging up now, Chris. Yeah, I'm
got you on. I only got you on because I wanted to say that. Pat, what are your thoughts of this design, mate?
I'm just gonna throw a whole bunch of fuel on the fire of the debate about this arm. They've definitely framed the picture of Major Blood so that you can clearly see that arm. So yeah, probably they're going for the robot thing, but the eye that he has there instead of the eye patch, there's been a lot of debate about Major Blood in the past, and one of the other things that comes up other than the arm is whether or not he has two eyes. Now, people may think that it's ridiculous that he would have an eye and wear an eye patch, but from what I understand, sometimes people who are snipers will condition one eye by using a patch. Mm-hmm. So it's possible that not only does Major Blood have two arms, but that he also has two eyes. And this could actually be some kind of targeting thing on his eye. So who knows exactly what they're going for. I am curious to see the bicep area, actually kind of that block there kind of reminds me of Pursuit of Cobra Beachhead.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of precedent for me thinking that maybe it's not a robotic arm and that it's just some really sweet armor and a targeting system. So, I mean, maybe that's not the case. I could be entirely wrong. But, this is a debate that's existed.
Well, and the shoulder, too. The shoulder actually looks a little bit more raised than the rest of the arm, which kind of lends us to believe that it's possible that could just be like a metal sleeve of some kind and not actually a cybernetic arm. So I think that's certainly an interesting idea. And I love kind of looking at the art and kind of knowing what we know, about figures like Zartan and Firefly, and you kind of wonder if that shoulder pad kind of is attached to the vest maybe and kind of lifts up to give him that range of motion a little bit on the actual figure itself and kind of what it might look like underneath there. All sorts of cool possibilities that could be up here.
Interesting backpack scenario as well with that little kind of missile.
We can't.
It's very much like his old school, and in a way, his old school backpack, which had the missiles in it. Although my memory is going. I can't remember if they were vertical or horizontal, but he had the pistol, rocket launching pistol, and sort of missiles in his backpack.
Yeah, I was going to say we can't see his hand, so it's possible that if this is a cybernetic arm, that maybe he has some swappable hands. They may.
That would be awesome.
On that, so that would be cool. I mean, it definitely would be a take on Major Blood. I think for the fact that debate has existed for a long time, for different iterations of G.I. Joe, you really could go either way. So it's really good so far, though.
I have to say, I'm really excited to see the actual action figure head sculpt based on the detail on this particular image as well. Like there's loads of character in there, like the grimace, bit of fate, like the tash is on there too. And that eyepiece, looks very cool. And again, like the updates that are doing for these particular characters, just like they just knock it out of the park, aren't they? Big time.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're talking about the face sculpt, just the way Classified has been able to kind of put character in their face sculpts, even guys like Firefly and Beachhead who have their ski masks on, you can still really see kind of the contours of their, furrowed brows, and just I think they've just been doing some amazing work in the sculpting on the heads for these characters. And one thing, Pat mentioned, maybe he has two eyes. I do see some like faint scarring kind of coming out from beneath the armored piece of his left eye. It doesn't mean anything, but it is an interesting detail to see what happens when the final figure is revealed.
Well, can't wait for that. But thanks, guys, for jumping on and chatting about this Major Blood news that just dropped seconds ago, and then we scampered to try and record it. So even though I faked everyone out with my ending of the news, this isn't even the ending of the news, because we've got Justin Bell with us, so we're going to talk movies. Pat, we'll see you for the shout-outs. Obviously, he can't be with us for this. He's also an international spy when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, Pat, thanks very much for joining us for this bit, mate. I'll see you in shout-outs in a second. Justin, let's get talking about some movie stuff. According to a source at HISSTANK, the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins movie will undergo reshoots this month for a number of scenes. This is not uncommon practice, of course, and since there have been test screenings, it makes sense that they want to make sure the film is the best it can be in the time for its release in October later this year. So we did hear that reshoots might be happening prior to the test screenings, and Andrew Koji even mentioned as much in an interview last year, claiming that you would have to fly back to Japan or Canada if that were the case. As of right now, we don't know where the reshoots will be happening, but we will let you know as soon as the information emerges. Justin, as I mentioned before, it's not like uncommon practice that we get reshoots for these kind of movies. Obviously, Bumblebee had it. In this sense, this was also planned prior to COVID kicking off, so it's not like this should really be a surprise, but it's coming a bit late in the day, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that would really be my only concern, is that it seems like it is pretty late to be doing some of these reshoots. I mean, I can understand how COVID might have screwed up some of the shooting schedules. Reshoots happen all the time in movies, and it isn't any kind of indicator of potential quality or anything like that. It's not like they're rewriting the whole movie or anything. It's just a fact of life. It's what happens. So I'm not necessarily worried that reshoots are happening. It is kind of, March and for release in October, that does seem like it's kind of pushing things a little bit, but I don't know, they might be able to turn around quicker than I thought, and maybe these scenes are smaller scenes. The thing that I thought was kind of weird that HISSTANK mentioned was that it was several scenes. It made it sound like these reshoots might be pretty significant, but who really knows? I don't think anybody truly knows. So yeah, I'm not worried by the fact that they're happening. I think it'll be interesting to see what if anything, it does to the release schedule. I'm hoping nothing. It is curious that I think the assumption was, at least part of my assumption was, that the major reason the movie was delayed was because of COVID, and they were worried about, capacity in movie theaters. But clearly they must have stopped work or something, because you would have thought like they would have had a relatively completed movie. I mean, this is supposed to be released last October. So the fact that these reshoots haven't happened already makes me think the movie wasn't quite as far along as perhaps we thought last October, and COVID might have had a more significant impact on it than perhaps we realized.
Do you think there's a possibility that they're maybe tying in some of these like later decision making kind of aspects, like obviously the follow-up movie, which we're having a lot more kind of information about recently, but that hasn't really started development until well after the filming, and also the Lady J series on Amazon. Do you think any of those might tie into this kind of reshoot situation? It's
certainly possible. The only thing they haven't really announced an actress for the Lady J movie. I think if they had one chosen, we'd know about it by now, and it'd be tough to see how they could tie in that series to reshoots without really having an actress identified yet. But you never know. There might be some other things they could do. Maybe they could do some sort of Nick Fury type of thing where they've got a General Hawk character or whatever kind of as the connective tissue between these different series, and maybe they're doing some scenes with somebody like that who might then, cameo in the Lady J stuff and in the future Groot movie as well.
Yeah. Oh, that just made me really excited. I'm expecting General Hawk with an eye patch in.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson is General Hawk. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I'll start the news burst now. Yeah, I have to say that I'm not concerned. I think I was concerned that there hadn't been any reshoots at this point. That was my concern, because I feel like when you're making a film, you don't necessarily get everything you need immediately. Like there's certain aspects that will come out once you've made it, or once you've kind of got to a point maybe on that first draft of an edit or something, and you kind of think, oh, we could do with this here, this could be different here. And when it's in a situation where you can't really fake it, it's best to kind of just go ahead and reshoot some scenes, get some other, there might have been a big plot element, not necessarily going to be a plot element in an action movie, but there might have been a plot element that needed a bit of a bit of band-aid kind of work.
Right, and they do this after test screenings. I mean, it's kind of the reason why you do the test screenings, is to get the audience reaction, and if there's a strong reaction against something, maybe you revisit it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Again, I mean, for me, not of concern, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what kind of comes out of this. Also, probably a good reason why we haven't seen a trailer or a poster yet. Maybe maybe there's some aspects in that in the reshoots that might, like you say, have a quite significant effect on the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, that's about all I can think of reasons why we haven't had a trailer yet. Although I think, other movies have done trailers and then done reshoots afterwards. I think it just depends kind of what you're showing in the trailer. But I think it might kind of, talk back to the fact that maybe the movie wasn't as far along as we thought last year when it was originally planned for last October release. The fact they don't have a trailer yet and things like that it's another indicator that perhaps they were still earlier on in the process than we suspected.
Rogue One strikes me as one that happened recently, where in the trailer there were loads of scenes in there that never actually made it, didn't even make it into the deleted scenes in the Blu-ray. And that was quite disappointing, actually, because I remember the TIE fighter floating nearby the literally coming down to kind of where she was on the platform. Didn't happen in the movie. So, and then there was beach scenes and all sorts. So, I'd like...
the trailers are this kind of... It's a tricky game because you want to do the marketing, you want to sell the movie. People will complain if you reveal too much. People will complain if you put scenes in the trailers that aren't in the movie. So, I mean, people are going to kind of complain regardless. So it's a really tricky balancing act to put some excitement in the trailer, make people want to go see the movie without revealing, some storylines that are woven between all the other shots. So, I mean, it's a balancing act. And I mean, it's at some point, you look at scenes and you say, wow, that would make a great scene for the trailer, and then the scene ends up getting cut, and you're like, wow, it's there, and at least captures the spirit of the film. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Justin, thank you for jumping on and chatting with me about the movie and, of course, the Major Blood design. This has been an absolute day, and this is going to be a late one. I can tell you that now because this is all over the place. Anyway. Mate, I will be jumping on with Pat to do the shout-outs next. And Justin, thanks for jumping on, mate. Really appreciated.
Not a problem. My pleasure. Good talking to you.
Bye. Okay, so now we're into shout-outs. And as always, big shout-out to all the family and to my wonderful wife, Kate. Love you all. Very much, and she can see me saying that, and she's just vomited in her mouth a little bit. I'm just kidding, she hasn't. And also keeping in kind of like, what's the word? keeping it in the family, I should also wish my dad a very happy 71st birthday today. So happy birthday, Dad. David McLeod taught me everything I know, so you can blame him. Big shout out to my dad. I hope you have a lovely day, and obviously we'll be speaking to you later to say happy birthday. It's also, I believe, Mother's Day in the United Kingdom on Sunday, so I'll shout out my mom as well. Happy Mother's Day for Sunday. Yeah, I know it's Saturday, technically Friday at the moment, but you know what I mean. So big shout out to mom as well. To Brian Sauer, who continues to create some amazing thanks, Phoebes. To Brian Sauer, who continues to create some amazing graphics for us. And before I go any further, Pat, have you got any?
Well, you've mentioned birthdays. Both my brothers have birthdays in March. So just in case I forget going into the month, I will give a shout out to both of them as well.
Okay, next. Phoebe, stop barking, honey, please.
Shout out to Phoebe. And she shouts out to us.
Phoebe is wanting to do her own shout outs at the moment. She's shouting out herself at the moment. So, hi, Phoebes. And Max as well. He's part of the family too. He's chilling. Anyway, enough of that. I'll also want to give out a shout out to International Women's Day. That was on the 8th this week. So shout out to all the women of G.I. Joe and beyond, and of course all the women in our lives too. You're all amazing, wonderful people. Shout out to Justin Bell. He sent me classified Zartan, and I've been playing with him this week. What an amazing figure he is. Thanks to Hot Topic for shipping my Leatherneck and Dr. Mindbender pops. They are quite fun, actually, and now I might have to find all the other ones I don't have. So that's what I was talking about earlier on, and I feel like I'm in a trap now. So I've got those coming. I've got those now in hand as well. So thanks to Hot Topic for them. Shout out to BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store, for shipping me the new Scarlet Redeco, which is really amazing. Even though I had no issues with the first release, I am liking the new, more subdued deco, and the face and hair is almost unrecognisable from the first figure. Either way, I do like them both, but one more figure checked off the list for me. Just Snake Eyes and Roblox to go in the re-releases department. Have you been able to pick any of these up yet, Pat?
Not yet. I have my Big Bad Toy Store order in for the Wave, but I don't think that's come in yet. Maybe I should check my pile of loot.
Definitely check your pile of loot. Finally, shout out to Dan Klingensmith Jr. and his new officially licensed Creating G.I. Joe A Real American Hero Volume 7. That shipped out and came in this week too. So much awesome stuff crammed into those books. Check them out if you haven't already. I've got a link in the description for that. Any stuff for you that you've got in this week, Pat?
Yeah, I've gotten in some things. I finally found Snake Eyes to go with my World's Smallest. That was the last one. The third one I needed for the variant of all of those.
Nice.
So found that at Target. I finally picked up one of these, which was a Giggles Jeep.
Oh, amazing. The Vamp.
Yeah, from Fun School. So, it's like I want to call it the third, but I guess it would be more than the third Fun School Vamp repaint. But as far as ones that are very, very different than what exists, this is definitely the third. It's not like it's just the Vamp. It has that tire on the back. It's quite different if you haven't seen it. And they've gotten to be a lot more affordable than when they first dropped. I think the first price I saw somebody wanted on these was like $80. This one I got for under 20. So.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what year did it come out?
Maybe a year or two ago, actually. It's a little strange because it doesn't say G.I. Joe anywhere on the box.
Yeah.
It could have easily flown under the radar.
It says G.I. Gulls.
That's true, it does. But I mean, it's cool. It has a tire on the back, and came with its accessories in a bag. There, I have not opened the bag of accessories, but it comes with the gas tanks. And
I love it.
It is the shovel on the hood of it.
Amazing, the same shovel that we saw on the tank a second ago. That's amazing, man. That's really cool. I want to try and get one of those now. Fantastic. What else? You were about to grab something else before I interrupted you.
The other things I got in this week, just to show off what I got this week, I got in the Child from Hot Wheels, which was an interesting release, but he scales fairly well with 3 3/4 inch figures. So I thought that I would buy that. It still says the Child. It doesn't say his name on the package.
Are we allowed to say his name, or is it like Voldemort?
I don't know. I think that there may still be some moratorium on spoilers for The Mandalorian.
Okay, I won't say it then.
Yeah, we won't say it. I don't know. But this also doesn't have the name of the character on it, which I thought was weird. It's MP51, and if you read who it is, it just says Cybertronian Warrior, but it's RC.
Fantastic.
I don't know why they do this with these boxes. It's very strange to me that they have, this outer boring box and then the inner nice box.
I didn't realize they do that because all my MPs are the kind of mainland ones. Then they're not the. Is that a Japanese one?
It is, yes. The Japanese ones didn't do this. I don't know if this is the first one or if there was one maybe before. No, this isn't the first one because I also have in the Red Sunstreaker repaint, and it's like this as well. But it's just a little weird. To be honest, I don't love these boxes. I think the idea is to protect the inner box.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter how many boxes you add to the outside. If you're worried about the condition of the box, that outer box now becomes the box that needs to be in good condition. So it's just a little silly.
I know, they might as well just put like a cardboard box around it with no text on it. Just basic as F. Totally agree with you.
If it had like a plastic shell or a plastic casing, I could see adding that, even though I don't know that I need that at all. But where does it end is the question, isn't it? It's like before you know it, you've just got this like box about this big because it's got 20 boxes covering each of the boxes. Like it's the never-ending story. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't opened it yet, other than to open it up to make sure there's a more interesting box inside.
Amazing. Anyway,
shout out to Philip. I can never forget to shout out to Philip each week.
How did we forget? Shout out to Phil Donnelly.
Oh, and I got Iron Man as well. Yeah, I forgot about that from Target.
That's dope.
Yeah, happy to get one of those to go with my Iron Man collection.
Awesome, man. It's filling up around you, isn't it? Like you're running out of. By the end of it, you're just going to be like this face surrounded by like E.T. when he hides in all those plush toys. It'll be like just boxes around you.
I try to clear these shelves out every once in a while and kind of rearrange things just to make the area behind me interesting, so that people have something to look at other than myself.
Well, I've gone for a complete opposite today. I've just gone for like neutral. Because I couldn't be bothered to set up the usual spot. Anyway, that's all irrelevant. Final shout out will go to our patrons, listeners, and viewers. Thank you guys for everything. We really appreciate the support. We're just, having a good time as well doing this. So I say having a good time. I've probably got about 8 hours of editing ahead of me now, but that's not a problem. That I brought it all on myself, and that's fine. I have upgraded actually recently. This week, I upgraded my laptop to a brand new spanking MacBook Pro, and it seems to be doing the trick in terms of editing. I shaved, get this, I kid you not, usually when we finish these episodes, I have to get on the edit quick because it has to go out on Saturday morning. So I sit here from about, when we finish, roughly around 2, sometimes we'll talk a bit, sometimes we'll finish at 3, and then I will go from 3 o'clock all the way till 3 a.m. working on this stuff. So it takes me like that long. I finished the last edit on this laptop at 8 p.m. So I'd shaved 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So I shaved 8 hours off my edit time.
And that's just off of you sitting down and editing it, or does that include the rendering time?
Okay, let's say 3 a.m. and then rendering time to bounce is about an hour. Yeah, so it was still taking me 11 hours to do an edit.
Wow.
That was mainly due to the fact that the computer was like just had hit that wall, that processing wall, and this one has just been smooth. And I can because I have to duplicate our video like numerous times to move our visages around on the screen. So yeah, you can imagine like a good hour's worth of video is just tripled, and sometimes we have 4 presenters on. It's game over. Just there's no movement whatsoever. So anyway, that you've peeked behind the curtain far too much on this episode, guys. That brings us to the end. Pat, thank you for joining me, mate. Much appreciated as always.
Thanks again for having me on. It's always fun.
Absolutely, mate. And we'll see you next week, no doubt. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Patrick Notpicard Stewart. See you next time. And as always, 1, 2, 3, Full Force.
I watched your mouth this time to make sure I wasn't getting ahead.
Amazing. I love it. I prefer it when it's off. I think it's great. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. full force.